Hello.
Hi,
Nice to see you.
thank you, thank you. Is it just going to be you and I?
I don't know. I see looks like AA Matusi,
Oh, okay. Okay,
so I'm not sure.
all right, well, all right. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to join the meeting.
Oh,
Okay,
no worries. Thank you.
okay, so,
Yeah, I'm wondering too how many will be joining also. I'm not sure. We'll see.
okay, all right.
It looks like Anne's coming in now.
Yeah. I've communicated with Anne, so I feel like I know her. Oh, is that you, Anne?
That's
Hi,
me, Diane. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you? It's nice to
Good.
see you, to put a name with a face.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad we finally got this together.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Shane, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
Awesome. Did you have a good trip?
I did. We're a little tired adjusting to the time zone. I didn't realize until we went to Alaska that Alaska is actually a 4-hour difference. I didn't even know that. So
That wouldn't have been one of my guesses. 3, maybe.
Yeah, I know.
right. I go to California fairly frequently for work, so I knew 3, but I had no idea Alaska was another time zone. No idea. But
Interesting.
so it's a 4-hour adjustment. So it was fun getting the kids up this morning for school, let me tell you.
Hi everyone, how you doing? Hi Shane,
Good, Chris. Good to see everyone in person.
on Zoom
Yeah.
for now.
Yeah, right, via Zoom, right.
I see Anne's here.
Look forward to the in-person meeting.
Yeah, me too. We waiting for Elena too?
Yeah, and
Maria.
and Maria.
Yeah.
Chris, are you feeling better? Last I
Yes,
talked to you,
I am.
Good.
I am. Yeah, that was a little rough patch there with a
Yeah, that
couple of
stinks.
sicknesses. And then you got to play catch up with work too, so it
Yeah.
takes like a month to get back on track.
That's the downside of going away on vacation too. I know you get slammed, you come back. I always say for every day you're out, that's how many days it takes you to get caught up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm never caught up on my regular day, so I never ever get caught up actually.
Yeah. It was a good learning experience out there in Las Vegas at the expo. It was good. A lot of people, it was like the comeback tour because of COVID, obviously,
Yeah.
ruined the show 3 years ago. It only happens every 3 years. This one I was attending, it's so large. And no, they had a great show, great turnout. So that was good.
What was the show, Chris?
The Con Ag Expo, it's all the construction, lots of equipment
Wow.
for the asphalt, concrete industry, construction.
Do you do that for your full-time job as well, or?
Yeah.
Great. I'm sure we'll do like introductions to everybody so we all get to know each other. Yeah.
They've asked me not to tell my life story. They're like, just keep it quiet, Ann. Just
We were lucky. We got Ann from Melrose.
Huh?
We're lucky. We got Ann from Melrose. She used to be at Melrose.
I did hear that. We're very grateful. Yeah.
Sorry, Elena.
I know she's not here
Yeah,
yet.
I know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
she
which-
is.
I'm happy to have you in my town though, so
Yeah. All right, good.
Yeah,
that's better.
it's a win-win.
There you go.
We'll be able to see Anna in person in a minute. She's just getting her camera hooked up.
No problem. I don't have Maria's cell phone either. I don't think.
I talked to her earlier today.
Oh, good.
Sorry, no luck getting in touch with her.
I'll give her a couple minutes and then we can.
Yeah, of course.
There she is. Hi, Maria.
Hey, Chris, apologies.
No
I had it
worries at all.
for 5:30 for some reason.
No worries.
What's worse, Maria, is Anna and I both were at 5, thinking it was 5:30, and we're at the office, and finally Anna goes, "It's at 5," and that was like 2
Oh.
minutes to spare. So we were right there with you.
I'm so
Oh.
sorry.
I'm happy to have company.
Yeah. Okay, well, now that everyone is here, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 5:09 PM. I don't know if do we have a guest to start public participation, or did you want to skip right to the third topic?
So, yeah, so Diane's from the Greenwood Nursing Home. So if we could let her go first, that would be great. I don't know of anyone else on the agenda.
Do we have anyone else, Anna? I don't think I see anybody.
No.
Okay, great. Diane, if you'd like
Hi.
to introduce yourself and.
Yes. Hi.
Well,
So
yes.
my name is Diane Tilley. I am the administrator of the Greenwood Nursing Home on Greenwood Street here in Wakefield. And I've had that role now for the past 15 years. And I'm here really to talk about an outstanding water bill. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to meet with you via Zoom and just explain the situation. Should I just give you a quick overview
Sure.
of the situation? So this goes back to October of 2021, back in the day when Debbie was still working in the water department. I understand she's no longer there. But I got a phone call from her alerting me to the water bill that was being sent out, saying that it was nearly 4 to 5 times the amount that it usually is. And she was wondering if something happened or there was something out of the ordinary. And I said, no, I couldn't imagine us using that amount of water, especially since our census had been significantly much less than it normally is because of COVID, et cetera. So she suggested that I have a plumber come and take a look at our, plumbing, also to test for running toilets, and which I did. And so that was like, October 29th. And on November 3rd, she asked somebody from the water department to come out and take a look at our meter. So the person came out, I met with them, and he said that it was an extremely old meter. It should have been replaced years ago. So he did replace it, and then advised that I take a picture of it, which I did. And then I spoke to Debbie, and she said for the next several days, take pictures of it to, just to see if it was normal water usage or running correctly, which I did. And then to start the process of asking for a correction in the billing. Also, too, we went back 5 years to look at our average water consumption. And typically, our water bill quarterly, it hovers around $4,000. And so I would check in, every time I would get a bill, I would check in with Debbie or whoever happened to answer the phone to ask the status of the dispute. And they said, well, typically the board likes to look at 3 or 4 quarters to see, how the water usage is going. And so it's really, this is what's been going on since then. Of course, I most recently got a notice about a water lien that was going to be put on the property as a result of the outstanding bill. But I held off really addressing any of that until I could meet with you. So I mean, I'm certainly willing to have signed and sworn affidavits from my maintenance people, myself, just to guarantee or, to reassure you that we did not consume, $15,000 worth of water in a quarter. So and also too, the building is inspected quarterly by numerous entities like the Wakefield Fire Department, our, Red Hawk Fire and Safety, our alarm company, DPH Life Safety Engineer, our sprinkling company. All of these people are here on a quarterly basis rotating. So I can assure you, if there was some issue, significant issue here in the building, I would certainly be aware of it. And since we had that water meter changed, our bills have reflected our historic use of the water. So I'm hopeful that something can be done about that.
Did anyone have any questions for Diane? Elena?
I'm curious, actually more from Anne. Is there anything from the town's end that we haven't heard yet?
So we couldn't notice anything, a leak, when Debbie noticed the bill was high. That's how the consumption was high. So that's why she called. So we started looking into it. The water department took the water meter out, brought it back, bench tested it, said the meter was probably running maybe a little slower, but not definitely faster or to cause that hiccup. And then I looked back through their history. The highest I could find them ever using was 40,000, and this is 68,000. So I couldn't come close to that 68 number. The only thing we also looked at that summer, dry summer, we did have high usage that summer. Some of it was COVID related, so people were outside. I don't think that was the nursing home doing that, but
Wasn't us.
doing gardening. But I did see a lot of people spiked that summer. So I don't know if it was outdoor water usage is what we could only think of. Someone left something on. So I went back 6 years on the September, and the highest I could get to was 29. The highest they had used previous was 29,000.
And Diane, is there any sort of irrigation system or any outdoor water usage at all?
No. It's really a quandary. It's very unusual. No, we don't use any outside water at all.
Diane, was there any, I think you might have touched on it. Was there any like heating issues, anything give away,
No,
anything with
no.
a plumber that he checked out that might
None.
be able to?
No, the only, just my maintenance person who's here. No, nothing. And I mean, it would have to have been, quite significant of an event to utilize that amount of water. And no, nothing at all. Nothing out of the ordinary.
What about the possibility of something having been left on for a prolonged period of time?
No, this is a house. It's not, I don't know if you're familiar with us. It's really a large private residence that was converted to a nursing home many years ago. It's like maybe a 7,000 square foot house. So it's like a big sorority. We all, no, it would be really, it wouldn't be possible for something to have been left on to generate that significant amount of usage.
Is there an outside hose at all in the summer months?
There is an outside hose, but it would have to be turned on by our maintenance person. Like nobody could go out there and because the turn on switch is in a boiler room inside the building, and the hose comes through a wall, an exterior wall. So somebody couldn't have just turned it on randomly.
When I read about your situation, the first thing that came to my mind was I could hear Elena's voice saying that older meters typically run slow. They don't run fast. So,
Yeah.
right, usually when there's that large a volume of water loss, it's either some type of leak or someone has left something on. So, Anne, what would you recommend in this instance where it seems like significant due diligence has been done to
Yeah,
investigate?
And Diane, I think we even sent over tablets. You tried the toilets and they weren't
I did
leaking.
everything.
I think they did do their due diligence over at the nursing home, that they were definitely trying to figure it out. We went over there a couple times to see if we could see like the sprinklers going early in the morning, like someone set them and forgot them. And we didn't see any sign that, but the summer had come to an end by then, but we couldn't see any outdoor watering. So my only suggestion would be that we could give relief on the sewer end.
And what, let's see, what would that?
That's when you'd calculate your average there, right?
Yeah, so we could take the average of the Septembers, like 6 Septembers, and come up with the average. I just did that before the meeting just to have it. So it would be we could take the 67,800 and minus 29,500 from it, which would bring it to 38,300 of sewer usage that was not average. And then you multiply that by the 1375, which is tier 4, because most of the water was consumed in tier 4, and that gets you $5,281.57 that we could give relief, and then the rest we could work out either a payment plan or some way to pay it off. We've stopped interest and penalties since this has been going on. Oh, and demand.
And Diane, you said there's no outdoor irrigation system, right?
No.
And there's just the hose. That's the only thing that can create outdoor water.
Right.
And was there any construction going on during that period? Like where someone might have used a power washer or
No.
anything?
No.
Trying to think of what else. I think you've hit everything. We've hit everything.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say, I mean, there was definitely some water consumed. I'm not really sure how. But we also don't know what went into the sewer either. So
Hmm.
I think it's fair in this instance that we do give them some relief here. I think they've done their homework and on both sides between the DPW and this Diane and her team. I think that's fair. I'm not sure if anyone else has any other anything else they'd like to add.
Well, I agree with you, Chris. It's just too bad that we couldn't narrow in this. Just so you know, Diane, this does happen. We have seen this several times where there's seemingly no explanation.
Isn't that crazy?
It really, it's confounding, that's for sure, and it's expensive, as you.
It's very
you know.
expensive. I mean, we're a 29 bed facility. We can't afford, but we couldn't afford to run the building with this kind of a water bill. So since it's happened, of course, we're still within our normal range of water usage, but if it were even to happen again, I don't know, like I don't know how to prove that something didn't occur. Do you know what I'm
Right.
saying? I don't,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, what we found in the past, as Maria says, that typically, even if we can't figure out what occurred, usually something did occur. Either something was left on or something was leaking, for a prolonged period of time, but wasn't something that you would see. Like if a toilet's leaking, if a toilet's just running and running and running, it just goes right into the sewer and you wouldn't know. So we've definitely, the meters don't just spin on their own. So usually it means the water did go through the meter. But, if we considered that you didn't see water cropping up anywhere and maybe it was an outdoor, a leaking spigot or something like that that just kind of went unnoticed, and that's where we would normally give the sewer credit. I did have one other idea, which I'm just curious to see how it calculates out, is what it would cost if we were charging it at the tier 1 rate rather than the tier 4.
And I guess while she's doing that, just so I can kind of get the 10,000 foot view here as well. So it sounds like your average bill is 4,000 a month, and then this one was 15,000 for that. Okay, I'm sorry, 4,000 a quarter. This was 15,000. Okay.
Yes. It was pretty shocking.
I'm sure you were surprised.
Oh, I was, yeah.
So I looked at, if you took all the tier 4 usage and charged it at tier 1, because obviously it wasn't, you know, the high tiers are supposed to be to prevent people from wasting water, you know, to discourage people from overwatering and that sort of thing, where you pay more per gallon when you're using more water. But obviously this wasn't an intentional use of more water. So if my numbers are correct here, I just took that one bill and the reduction is less. It would be, if you took the tier 4 and charged it all at tier 1, it would be $2,348 less. But I realize that's not as big of a credit. And does their usage usually fall into just tiers 1 and 2, or where are they usually?
No, they usually are in tier 4.
Oh, they usually get up into tier 4.
Yeah, yeah. 6,000 or more gets into that tier 4.
Okay. Well, I don't have an issue with it, with crediting the sewer portion. If we just make the assumption that the water didn't go into the sewer, but that we don't know where the water went or came from. I think given how much of a hit this is to their typical bill, I don't have an issue with that, if that's what Chris and Maria, if that's where you're leaning.
Yeah, I'm definitely with, you know, I'd like to give some type of relief here. It doesn't really, I have no skin in the game which way. I mean, it's one of the tough ones that unfortunately we get from time to time, where, you know, sometimes you get a leaky sprinkler system and you don't know about it, or you find about it later, or a plumber comes and finds something. But
like one of the things I thought of was that maybe the sprinkler system, maybe when they were testing, they used, you know, a 10-year test or a 5-year test or some test that took a lot of water, because
Oh, the
otherwise-
fire.
Yeah,
Fire
fire.
sprinklers.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, but they test quarterly, and they test quarterly, and it's never had any impact on our water bill, the testing. We've, like I said, historically, if you take a look at our water consumption, nothing, in our usage would indicate something like this. I don't know.
yeah, I think I think I'm leaning towards giving some relief here on the sewer. And what did you come up with on that, Ann?
So if I took the tier 4, the 1375 per 100 cubic feet times the 3830, which would be the 6780 minus the average of the September bills, came out to $5,281.57 off the sewer.
Okay.
And just from a cost perspective, what is their typical bill there? So this bill was about $13,000, or yeah, 13,000. And, or would it be 15,000 because it's, it doesn't qualify for the discount?
Yes, it would have qualified for the discount. It would have been 1,500 off. So it would have been 13,816.72.
Okay, and then their typical bills are 4,000 at the most range?
They're in the most of them are in the 4,000 range, or the high threes, 38, 79, 38, 18. And then
Okay.
there's, we have a couple that went into the $5,180, But
Yeah,
most are in that average.
So that seems like a generous discount, given that we don't have any, specific
Backup.
repairs that were done. We don't have backup. Typically, we need some sort of backup to really, go back down your kind of your average bill. So I'll make a motion to issue an abatement in the amount of, and can you say the amount again?
Sure, $5,281.57.
Okay. And to put in place a payment plan if necessary for the
Absolutely.
remaining payments.
All in favor? Aye. Oh, sorry, I didn't get a second. I'm sorry. My bad.
I'll
Do I have
second.
a second? Well,
I'll second, yeah.
I don't think I introduced Shane yet, so on rule here for this meeting.
Oh, right.
We have to count Maria, right? Because she's still part of the
Yes.
board.
Till May 1st.
Yes,
Okay, so I'll second. How's that?
That's perfect.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Diane.
All right, I thank you. Thank you very much for your time and I appreciate your help.
Thanks. I'll follow up tomorrow with a email, just so you'll have the amount and we can work out the
Okay, and
details.
we'll just come by and pay it tomorrow at some point.
Sounds good. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you and nice to meet you. Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, now before we begin anything else, sorry about that. I should have introduced Shane first, but we had Diane and I was trying to get her,
He's been waiting 2 years, so thank you.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
My apologies. I'd like to introduce Shane McCarthy to our board. He's going to be joining us May 1st, and we certainly welcome you. And Maria's going to be leaving us after this meeting, and we certainly appreciate your time you gave over the years. I think we have a lot to be proud of from where we started. I'll put it that way.
Well, I-
Shane, they're a good group.
well, that's great to hear. I'm sure you have very big shoes to fill, so thank you.
You're very, very welcome. They do a lot of terrific Anne and Anna and Joe from the DPW provide wonderful context to help understand what the DPW does and what it means for us as individual taxpayers. Fortunately for you, I think, at least for me, it was, Chris has an extensive background in construction, and Elena is a civil engineer who, if you don't know it, is the director of the DPW to our whatever.
Rivals.
No? Melrose?
Yourself.
And so the collective wisdom on the committee is terrific. So welcome.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
In the
that's-
DPW world, Melrose is our friends, though.
Yeah,
For sure.
absolutely.
That's wonderful. Yeah, so I do not have a DPW background. I don't know if you've seen my resume or not. I felt we've been in Wakefield 13 years, and I just feel, we love the town, we love where it's going, and I felt like it was just kind of time to give something back, right? To kind of volunteer my time to help out the town. And again, I love the direction we're going, just kind of want to help out, continue to do that. So I'm sure I'm going to be learning a ton from the resources we have here. So thank you, and willing to help out as well. Thank you also, Maria. And any tips, I'm all ears. So
Well, like you, I'm not a municipal civil type of engineer or anything of that nature. I was just sort of your average Joe taxpayer. And so I think hopefully you'll fit right in, because you will ask a lot of questions and you'll
yeah.
have this wonderful group around you to answer. So I think
He's
I
an
think it will
unbelievable
work very
writer, so
well.
if you need proofreading, give her an email.
Yeah.
Quite the writer.
Yeah,
Thanks, Chris.
That's
All right,
great.
so following up, next on the list, we have Wakefield Commons. Ann, do I see
So-
someone?
So I do see someone, I'm not sure who it is. And I don't know if they have public participation or not.
Let's see. Anna, did you have anybody on the list beforehand?
No.
Yeah,
No? Okay.
no.
I don't know. I'm not sure if they wanted to speak or anything. They're more than welcome to. I'm not sure what their first name is though.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just listening. That's fine. Okay. Next on the list, we had the follow-up for the Wakefield Commons.
Yeah, Chris, sorry, I'll just interject for a sec. He had written a letter to the board. He just was wondering where it stood. So I said I would bring it up at this meeting. And I could send them an outcome if the board has an outcome back to him. I'm happy to follow up.
And was that the meeting? I don't think Elena was there, was she?
No, she wasn't there.
Okay.
Yeah, I missed one meeting.
Do we want to kind of fill her in again, maybe? And just kind of give a quick little.
Sure. So Wakefield Commons came and talked to first to the office, and then he made a presentation at I believe the September 22 meeting. And they're interested in potential to sub-meter or to have a rate structure changed, because they have several buildings with a lot of units. So I think they have 5 buildings, and they have up to words of 100 people, 100 units in some of the buildings. Some are only 40. They're on Albion Street, so they cover an area in there. They have very little outside watering, but one of the issues they have is retired senior is in one apartment, and they're paying tier 4 rates because
So this is a rental property?
yes.
I know.
Go ahead.
No, go
Sorry.
ahead, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, so that most of the units are 1 or 2 person units, but everybody's paying tier 4, obviously.
Yeah.
1 bill or 5 bills for 5 units of multifamily dwellings.
And because they are a rental, they're an apartment, they just split the usage equally between the units.
So they had toyed around with the idea of the number of people in the unit would be what the bill, how they'd split the bill up, but we didn't get into any of that. We talked more about sub-metering when I was out there. But because the buildings are older and high rises, we talked to the building maintenance, and they had a 128 plumbing come, and we couldn't even get it past the first floor. Like there was so many pipes and wires. It was.
Yeah, so the state is very strict on sub-metering of apartments or billing for water in apartments. And you have a bunch of criteria that you have to meet, including the sub-meters. The sub-meters would be owned by the landlord, and they're allowed to meter accordingly and charge accordingly. But it sounds like if they can't separate out their plumbing,
Yeah.
that's dead in the water. So, but in terms of unit averaging, I mean, some towns do unit averaging where if you're in a 40 unit building, you take the water usage and you divide it by 40 before you apply the tiers. So that, if you have 40 residences and they're using under whatever the tier 1 threshold is times 40, then they all pay tier 1. But even so, in communities where I've seen that done, I think there's oftentimes a kind of just a feeling, a theory that if you're a management company running an apartment complex, you're a commercial entity. You're no longer considering that building a residential. If you had condos and you had individually owned condos, then the unit averaging is sometimes considered the better approach. But if you're in an apartment building, you're kind of a for-profit entity right from the get-go.
And Elaine, I can be corrected. They may be, I think they may be condos.
They may be condos, actually.
Yeah, now,
I think
now
they
that
might be.
now that you're saying that, because I think he said he owned his unit.
Oh, okay.
The gentleman, Frank, who had come in. So
Is
I
that
think
like a-
maybe,
Is that a bylaw change to do something like that?
Well, so I was gonna say, I mean, that's something you'd really want to run by our consultant. Because if we were to go to unit averaging, obviously our rates would have to bump up. You'd want to do it at the beginning of a fiscal year. You wouldn't want to just do it mid-year because then you wouldn't collect enough revenue for the
Right.
year. But if you did that, then obviously the price would come down for the people who are no longer going to be in tier 4, but the rates would go up to compensate for that. So everybody's bill would go up a tiny bit and their bills will go down a lot. For a long time, I thought unit averaging was really the way to go, and I was advocating for it in Melrose. And there just wasn't as much of an appetite for it with the consultant we were working with. They just said it gets very complicated with those distinctions between condos and apartments. And, do you do it for a 2-family, even though it's a rental? Or does it have to be owner occupied? Or there were just so many questions that they kind of advised us at the time not to go that direction. But I don't disagree that there's a fairness issue if you're an elderly person or couple living in a condo unit in a building with 40 apartments, and so you're paying tier 4 on all of your water. I mean, you're probably using less water per person in your little condo than I am at my house or whatnot. So there's definitely arguments to be made either way, but I think if it's something we want to consider, it's not really just about this one property, it's about the town as a whole.
And then future properties too, we've got a lot of stuff
Mhm.
going on.
Has Matt ever been consulted about this, Anne?
so we have talked to him about it, but he's really just doing the rates with what the information he has at hand type of thing. So if we can certainly throw a scenario in like this, but then it would have to get all the condos, maybe it's 4 and better, because that's what we do, the trash. And then we'd have to get him all that information and break it all down. So he hasn't really deep dived into it, only because that's not his task currently.
And just so that I apologize because this seems like this meeting was, like 10 years ago, but in the meantime, are these folks paying still? But
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the association or the apartment complex is paying us. We've had a couple of inquiries about it, obviously, because water's a big expense.
right.
So
right.
we have heard that, but like Chris said, it may be a bylaw or a water change, that would have to happen through town council before we could do it. And the averaging makes me a little nervous if our system couldn't do it automatically.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm anticipating a
Whatever.
very large unit at the end of the lake, and then, some other ones, Grayson now is fully occupied over on Foundry and Albion. And so there are some big ones. So we'd have to do some digging, I think, before we could even do the rate study.
Yeah,
But
and
it
you'd have to
does-
confirm that you have the right number of units for every
Yeah.
building.
But it does sort of beg the question that Wakefield should be prepared to respond, correct? If we're going to have more and more developments go up with, units where you have this same scenario of someone paying those high rates if they're just,
So the
2 people in a little 700 square foot unit.
So the only thing I can say is new construction has it so much easier, because if you want to put sub-metering in, then not that it's cheaper, but it's easier to then put it in. It's hard to retrofit these older buildings that have been around for a while, because like we said at Wakefield Crossing, we couldn't get past the first floor. Like there was so many.
They weren't designed to.
I wish I took a picture. It was crazy. But if you're putting up a new building, at least you can put that into your plumbing specs and you can do it in advance. So if the head of the lake wants to put in 400 units and they want a sub-meter and all, we're saying do it now. Because that's pretty much the only time you could put a sub-meter in easily into a building like that.
Right, I agree, yeah, and I mean, like anything, any decision we make, you're not gonna keep all the people happy all the time either, right? So, I mean, even with the averaging, then people will say, well, you know, John Smith used twice the water I used, and I'm paying the same price, so there's always.
Yes.
It's definitely something we might have to look into though, because I, like Maria said, I think that's coming. I think you're gonna get more people that are gonna maybe bring up the subject. I'm not sure.
Do we allow condos who sub-meter? Do we allow them to be all separate accounts?
Yes.
Okay, and then do we have a master meter that we just charge the condo association? Any difference between the?
Yes, ideally, that's how it would work. Yes.
Got it.
And I'm sorry, just, I don't know if we covered this or not too, so how are they currently doing it? Are they splitting it amongst the condo association or?
So I'm not exactly sure how they do it in each of their units, but how we do it is each one of their buildings, there's 5, they have a meter. We just bill off that meter. And then I believe they take that and then divide it up among the number of units that are in that particular building. So
Gotcha,
they don't even cross over to the building next door. They keep them separate.
thank you.
And do we need a vote on that was there any type of vote you needed, or were you just gonna reach out like through a
No,
letter?
I was gonna reach out and say that the board, we spoke about it again tonight and that it needs to be a topic in the future. And that certainly when we start meeting with our rate consultant, I'll bring it up, like Maria said, see what he thinks about the whole idea and how we could get to a rate. I'm not saying we're accepting that rate, but how we could get to one, how it would work out.
Right, that's a project in itself, I'm sure, just to
Yeah,
get. there.
yes.
Okay. All right. Before we move on to new business, I forgot to, I think we got some minutes to approve too from September and November when we met last. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from September 26th, 2022. Do I have a second or a motion?
Second.
Chris, I'm just trying to see which meeting it was that I missed, because I want to be sure I don't vote on. the-
Yours was the November 14th meeting, I believe. Hold on, let me just make sure.
And then Chris, another thing too, should I vote on this or not vote on this?
No,
I read the minutes, but I wasn't there.
no.
Okay,
I-
all right, just want to make sure, okay,
No,
thank
it's
you.
okay. Sorry, yeah, Elena, it was this meeting. Stay out of this one, sorry. It was September you were absent. I'm looking at the minutes.
Okay, all right, so I will not vote. I'll abstain on this one.
Okay, so Maria, I'll just take yours. Could you just make a motion? I think you did.
So, sure, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the September 26th, 2022
Yep.
Advisory Board of Public Works.
No? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 2-0. And then approval of November 14th, 2022.
So I just had one question on this one. There were a couple of bolded questions within the minutes that I think maybe were supposed to be fixed before the minutes were, before the press.
So those were 2 places that when Anna and I talked about if people wanted more information in there, we could go on and on. That conversation went
Yeah,
pretty long. Or if people are fine, we can just leave it as is and then people could look at the tape if they wanted more information. I mean, we talked about trash for a while and definitely an issue. So that we did talk of that for a while.
my recycling here was just mentioning how recycling, I've noticed that it's abundance all over town,
Yeah.
I think they're doing the right thing at recycling, but the wind at night is blowing stuff all over the place and people aren't picking it up the next day. That's the problem.
Yeah,
That
so
was-
I'm fine if we just want to leave that one sentence and take out the question marks and just say
Yeah.
Chris mentioned recycling blowing all over the place. And then the other one, I think seems sufficient to explain what was said. Yeah, I think we could just take that out where, where the note was to add more.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the modifications discussed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Maria. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. New business. Anything going on, Ian?
So we are started back with our rate consultant. He's looking for information. So we're hoping to get meet with him the first week of May. And then we're looking to squeeze a couple of meetings in May for the rates, because we're hoping to go before the town council on June 12th for the rate hearing.
Okay,
That leaves us one meeting till the end of the year. So we're trying to push it a little back so we can at least get 2 meetings in if needed.
okay. So I'll make a note of that. May, you'd like to get like an extra meeting in, so maybe 2 in May.
Well, we would like to have one that we would present it, and then if you guys have questions or need more time, we'd be available to do another one. And
Okay,
then make it before the town council.
That's a good idea. We want Shane to have plenty of time to absorb it too. I know this is gonna be his-
Yes.
you know, you'll have plenty of questions. There's no dumb questions during that at all. At all. It's good. It's very thorough, and our consultant does a good job, and will do any scenario that you really want. So that's good. Anything else?
No, I got some great pictures that you might have seen one on the front of the Wakefield item. It showed one of our front end loaders pulling fire inflamed cardboard out of a place on there was a fire last Friday on what was it?
Autobot?
Audubon. Yes. And so they called us to see if we could help get some of it was a cardboard company, drag it out. So we got the fire department got some great pictures of us assisting. So
Oh, great.
Oh,
I'll share
nice.
those once I have them.
That's why DPW is part of the first responders too.
Exactly.
That's right.
It was pretty cool. You could see one of the firemen with water going in and our guy dragging the stuff out. So it was very
Actual
cool.
cardboard in a big building like that.
Yes, yes.
That's great. Definitely share those. I'd like to see them.
Yeah, I'd like to see
Absolutely.
them too.
Absolutely, I will.
Can I ask one question about, on the topic of fires, and does the DPW give the licenses for burning trash, burning, not trash, but burning yard waste?
Yeah, no, they don't come out of here.
I wasn't sure, but it just seems, we have a few neighbors that do it, and it just seems like it's always windy now.
Yes.
And it scares me. Like, I want to just go over and say, get a bag and put your stuff in it. And,
We're coming by
please.
soon.
Right?
You're outside hose ready.
Yes, yes. Okay, well, I'll have to find whoever does that and set
My
up. a
guess
little
might be the
email.
fire department.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
well, thank you.
Okay, so next would be next meeting. Do you want to, what would you say, May?
Yes.
What do we got in May?
So the 29th is Memorial Day at the end of the month. So we were thinking maybe if all went well, maybe the 15th, and then we could still have the 22nd if we needed it.
That works. Elena, I know your schedule's kind of jumbles, but does that sound okay?
Yeah, that seems okay. I'm looking at my calendar. My son has a dress rehearsal for his concert the next night at the Galvin, but that's a little earlier. That goes till 4:30. So,
So
yeah,
I could be wrong again, but so I assume we'd be done before. I am showing a town meeting.
Oh,
on-
yeah, correct.
good
So no,
call.
we
We can't do that.
yeah, no, yeah, good catch. So that's the 15th. So we might have to do like the 8th and the 22nd. Or we could do the 22nd and then we'd have to switch to a Tuesday the next week because that's the holiday weekend.
Yeah, I don't want to do, you don't want to interfere with the holiday if we don't have to. I don't want to, if you don't have to. So the 8th and maybe the 22nd.
That seems fine.
Okay.
Okay. All right, well, Maria, like we said, thank you very much for your, all your volunteer time on the board. We certainly appreciate it. And we hope to see you at public participation sometime.
Right.
Oh, thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, we'll miss you, Maria.
I'm sure our paths will cross, no doubts.
We'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion, all in favor? Aye.
I.
What time is it? 5:54?
5:53.
5:53.
5:54 just changed.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.